Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from today. My name is Dalia, and I'm the Global Community Manager here at Kong. I'm very happy to welcome you all today to our May user call. Today, we will learn how to build better APIs faster with Insomnia 9.0. I'm thrilled to have our CTO and co-founder here, Marco Palladino, together with one of our senior software engineers, Mark Kim. They're going to walk you through the exciting updates of Insomnia 9.0. So as you will notice, there is a Q&A function on the bottom of your screens. Please input all of your questions there. Mark will answer all of them live when they're done with their presentation. One more thing, this webinar is being recorded and you will have access to the recording later on today on our YouTube channel. I will insert the link here in our chat. So with that, Marco, please take it away from here.
Thank you. Thank you, Dania. And hi, everyone. Okay, so today we're going to be having a very interactive session on Insomnia. Most of these user call will be a live demonstration of all the new capabilities that we have shipped. But of course, for those of you who may not know what Insomnia is or what Insomnia can do, I'm going to be spending a few minutes just to give an introduction. So first and foremost, why do we need Insomnia? Well, we need Insomnia because we are creating APIs in a different variety of technologies based on the use case that we're trying to implement. Especially if you are working in an organization, you are most likely already using different type of protocols, different type of technologies to develop different types of user experiences. And these adds complexity on the ways we are building APIs, designing APIs, testing them, mocking them, trying them out, and so on. And so with Insomnia, we really wanted to provide something that would allow us to simplify both the consumption of APIs, but also the creation of APIs. Ultimately, APIs is almost like a social activity. There is producers, there's consumers, and consumers are the customers of the producers. And there must be a way for them to be able to capture feedback and work in a collaborative way when building the APIs. And likewise, the consumers need to have an easy way to go and implement the APIs in their applications. And so with Insomnia, really, we want to provide a product that allows the developer to be productive and create a playbook for designing, consuming APIs. And most importantly, it allows to do this in a secure way. Insomnia, as you know, has an open source core, but then we also have some premium capabilities. There is a cloud platform where we can manage our account, our organizations. And then at the end of the day, there's going to be a desktop application that runs Linux, Windows, and Mac, which allows us to use the application itself. So the Insomnia app itself, it's not in the browser. It is a desktop app that we download and we run locally on our systems. When we determine how we want to work with Insomnia, we can then also decide if we want to collaborate with others, invite them, and determine also where we want to store our data, if it's local, if it's in the cloud, for easier collaboration, or on Git, for example. So with Insomnia, truly, we want to create a playbook that allows us to debug our APIs in an easy way, being able to manage our collections and credentials and the storage of these information with the maximum freedom that we can possibly have. We want to make sure that we can implement testing, that we can also automate some of that testing with the CLI capabilities that we provide, and also the ability to mock APIs to reduce the coordination between the backend teams and the front-end teams whenever they're building anything new. And then, of course, all of these is part of a whole life cycle that pretty much every API developer, which is every developer in the world, needs to have in order to be successful building in 2024. Of course, Insomnia is a product built by Kong. Kong also is a cloud platform that provides an end-to-end infrastructure control plane, which allows us to start gateways, service meshes, ingress controllers, and AI gateways. And it allows us to have this one unified view for managing all of our APIs. For those of you that are also Kong users or customers, using Insomnia with Connect essentially covers the full life cycle of how we develop APIs and consume them, but also how we run them in production and then manage them at scale from a runtime standpoint. Connect is optional for those users that are only looking for the developer productivity aspects of Insomnia. So this is not a mandatory or required component to it. So before we jump into the demo and all the new features that we've just released in 9.0, I want to spend some time looking at deeply what Insomnia can do. With Insomnia, we can design APIs using OpenAPI. We can debug them using all different protocols, WebSockets, HTTP, gRPC, GraphQL, SSC, and so on. We can implement testing for our APIs, and we can also, since 9.0, also create mocks. And the mocks can also be self-hosted, by the way. When it comes to storing the data, the application will allow us to choose what's the backend storage that we want to enforce on a per project basis. So if there are projects where collaboration is needed, we can, for easier collaboration, enable that project to be cloud and easily invite people to collaborate with us whenever it comes to building, designing APIs or consuming APIs. If we want to leverage local storage on our computer, we can also do that. And if we do that, there is nothing that's being stored in the cloud of your projects or collection data. We can also choose to leverage Git. And if we do that, the storage of our information is going to be a Git repository that can be public or private. You can determine how you want to enable that connection, as well as we support the ability to create private environments in any of these topologies. So we could also have a cloud collection with a private environment that includes credentials, for example, and the private environments are never being synced to the cloud. Or we can create shared environments, which will be shared with every collaborator that we decide to invite. And then for enterprise organizations that want to mandate the storage of their collections, of their projects, their files, their specs, there's also what we call storage control, which is it's an enterprise control, which essentially allows us to mandate top-down what is the storage that every developer in the organization needs to use. And they can't change that. So it's being determined by the organizational admin, by the owner of the organization. This makes Insomnia a very secure product because essentially it's probably the solution in the market that gives us the most optionality on how we want to manage our data. And then we can also invite people to collaborate with Insomnia. We're going to be seeing this in a demo. We can create organizations. Our organization can be created for a line of business. We can create one for enabling partners to consume our collections. And on top of these, we can obviously secure with Enterprise SSO, with role-based access control. Our Enterprise SSO supports pretty much every OpenID Connect and SAML compatible system or IDP. So it's very pretty much everything. And we can also then change at runtime this level of permissions that we want to assign to the people that we invite. Finally, there is lots of automation that can also be built on top of Insomnia by using Inso, which is the CLI of Insomnia, which allows us to do a couple of things. It allows us to execute quality assurance on our OpenAPI specs by creating linting rules to determine if our APIs are properly documented, if they are properly secured. And with the Open API support that we have in Insomnia, we can also add Kong gateway specific policies that we can execute at runtime, like plugins for authentication or rate limiting. And then we can also run the tests. So when we create unit testing inside of Insomnia, those tests can be executed using the CLI, which means that we can essentially enforce CI/CD workflows on top of the CLI itself. And then the extensibility thanks to plugins. Everything that Insomnia doesn't do out of the box can be expanded with the plugin ecosystem, which allows you to further extend what Insomnia can do and customize it for your needs. So this is another strong, unique capability of Insomnia, this plugin ecosystem where developers can create these type of extensions. So this is what Insomnia is today and why we need Insomnia. So let's look at Insomnia 9.x and what are the new capabilities that we're building. First and foremost, in the last 12 months, Insomnia's velocity has been incredible. We really shipped lots of features, lots of improvements. If you have been paying attention to the releases, you know that there is lots of activity that has been happening in the last 12 months. The first and most important feature that we've shipped is the support for pre-request scripting. This allows you, as you know, to create scripts for running custom logic, business logic before the actual request is being sent in a collection. And available today in Insomnia 9.3 beta, so it's not GA yet, we have also introduced the ability to create scripts after the response has been received, which is, again, one of the most requested capabilities from the user base. Then we have introduced the ability to create mocks. Mocks can be in the cloud, can be self-hosted, and you can create now mocks easily on top of Insomnia. If you are familiar with Kong, you know that Kong at one point had a service called Mockbin. Mockbin does not exist anymore because the mocking capability, that use case, has been merged with Insomnia. So with Insomnia, we now have one place to manage mocks, collections, design specs, and tests. And then we have introduced support for Faker, which was, again, very requested. We can essentially create more than almost like 100 types of random information in our APIs to simulate real user input, but it's all fake values. And if you right-click in Insomnia in any place where we can value a parameter or a header, you will see this contextual menu where Faker is one of the things that we can provide, but there's much more to it. So if you were not aware that that this was something Insomnia did, by right-clicking anywhere in Insomnia, we can start adding dynamic values inside of our requests. And then we are making improvements to improve the offline experience of Insomnia in those instances where the connection is slow or that connection is missing at all completely. And so this is not something that's very easy to do in one shot. It is more of a series of improvements that we're making with Insomnia. And with Insomnia 9.x, we started to make progress in this direction, where essentially we fixed the biggest blocker for running offline, which was this error that is now not there anymore. And on every minor release of 9.x, we're going to be making the offline support of Insomnia better and better. So in 9.3, which is going to be the next release, as a matter of fact, you will already see improvements in the performance and improvements in the handling of the offline state within Insomnia. There's really a lot more that we have shipped. There's literally hundreds of improvements. We improved all the keyboard shortcuts, which is something that the user base, have requested us to fix in a very long time. It was quite embarrassing. We didn't have it fixed in a long time, and so we did finally address it. And in Insomnia 9, all the shortcuts are working. We made many UI improvements, especially for running Insomnia on smaller screens. If you have a laptop that doesn't have a big screen, now it's much easier to run. We reintroduced the search palette, which is what you're seeing here in this screenshot, and we made it global. So you can search for collections or files or design specs, mocks across every organizations that you're part of from one place. So this is like your Google search, but for Insomnia. We have added support for private environments and also for storage control, which is that top-down capability to manage the storage. So there's a lot that we've built, and we're going to be seeing a demo of these capabilities, and I'm going to show you the roadmap of the things that we're going to be building next as well when it comes to Insomnia. And next, it is going to be 9.3, which is the after response scripting. But we're also working on folder level authentication, folder level scripting, folder level headers configuration. We are going to be introducing the concept of global environments. And this is going to be making the import from competing products of Insomnia much easier, because now we support globals. Oh, and by the way, the scripting is also backwards compatible with other solutions. So you can simply copy paste the scripting from other products, and it should work as is instead of Insomnia itself. We're going to be making our Git sync much more powerful. Today, it is on a per file basis. And we're changing that to make it on a per project basis. So the entire Git sync can point to a repository on a per project basis. And then each file could be in a different subfolder, and that is optional. You'll be able to specify that to better support the Git workflow. And one of the last things you see here is the YAML storage format, which is also something we want to introduce, so that seeing the diff between different changes, it is a lot easier versus the current JSON format, which it's not really human readable in a diff. YAML just happens to be a better one. We're going to be introducing the collection runner so that you can run all the tests and the scripts and the collections that you have created. Support for multiple tabs. We're moving so fast with Insomnia. All that you see here is going to be shipped within the next 4 months, 5 months. There is really a lot of momentum that we picked up when it comes to the velocity of Insomnia. Likewise, today there is plugins for supporting the secret store of AWS and Azure. We're going to be making these capabilities part of the product itself, so they're going to be maintained and supported long-term by the Insomnia team. The ongoing offline and performance improvements that we're going to be making to make sure that Insomnia works very well, even when in those instances where today it is slow. We are looking at all areas where performance can be improved. The ability to support webhook testing, so when we can provision a proxy tunnel that allows us to test for webhooks, and a lot more. These are just some of the highlights of the things that we would like to build. And typically, we prioritize our roadmap based on the activity on GitHub and our Slack channel for the community, as well as customers, of course, in such a way that they can be prioritized. So there is a lot of things that we're doing, lots of things that we have done. And with Insomnia 9, we're now going to be seeing a demo of all of these new capabilities. And so without any further ado, I'd like to invite Mark Kim, who is a senior engineer at Kong, to share the screen, and then being able to demonstrate what Insomnia can do. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, everyone. Mark here. So for today's demo, we're going to go over first the UI of Insomnia, and then design document to play around with APIs, and then the latest, greatest features, pre-request script, and mock server. What you see here is the Insomnia dashboard. On the most left side of the UI, you can see a list of organizations, the sidebar. It displays organizations that you may be part of or you own. And the first organization with the home icon is your personal workspace. And at the bottom of it, there's a button to toggle on and off. And at the top left corner, you have a search bar, which allows you to navigate to whichever file that you want just by pressing Command P or clicking that button. Now, next to the sidebar, there's a list of projects, and you can see there are two types of icons, web icon and then laptop icon. These indicate two different types of projects. You can create as many projects as you want. You can choose either Cloud Sync project or Local Vault project. When you select Cloud Sync project, all the files that you create in Insomnia will be encrypted and stored in the cloud, whereas a Local Vault project will allow you to store files only locally. So you will not be able to share. We're not going to store anything in our Insomnia server. And now, just because you selected one project type, it doesn't mean that you can switch in between. So for example, this Kong demo project, it is Cloud Sync project. But now I can click Settings button and then switch to Local Vault. That means all the files that are stored in the cloud are instantly deleted from our cloud server. And now these are only available locally, but you cannot share these files with your colleague either. I'm going to switch back to the Cloud Sync project because one of the demo that we're going to have is a mock server, which is only available in the Cloud Sync project. Now, we're going to create a design document. So we're going to click Create button, and now you see 5 options. Request collections are literally the request collections, and the design document is request collection, but including design feature and testing feature. Mock server will allow you to create mock server in either cloud mock or self-hosted mock, which we're going to cover in a bit. And then there is an import, which allows you to import a file in various formats, which includes Postman, which we're going to also cover in a bit as well. And lastly, git clone. This will allow you to store a file in your chosen Git provider repository. And you can authenticate with them, and you can store the file and pull into Insomnia. So you don't store the file with Insomnia Cloud, but you still have a source of truth remotely. So let's say you lost your laptop, you still will be able to recover the file. For this demo, we're going to create design document. Let's say we're going to name it as Insomnia-demo. Now, the first thing you see here is an empty text editor. You can write down your OpenAPI spec here, or you can import them or copy paste them. So for this demo, I'm going to copy paste them. Boom. Now, instantly, you can see the list of preview. In the preview, you list of endpoints that this OpenAPI spec defines. You can toggle on and off of this preview. And you can see the info section, you can see the server section and the path section, which allows you to navigate in between the editor. And now I'm going to click environment variable. And let's say I'm going to add base URL with local host with port number 5000. I'm running a test server for the demo. So that's why I put the local host with port number 5000. Now I'm going to click setting button again and then click generate collection. Right now, there is nothing in the collection screen, but the moment that I click generate collection, boom, it created all these endpoints automatically. Now I'm going to start playing around with it. Let's say I'm going to send a GET request to the list of grocery endpoint. Right now, there's nothing. And you can see in the preview on the right panel, there's a preview, beautified preview, and there's a headers, cookies, and timelines so you can debug what happened during the handshake. Now I'm going to do something more fun here. So I'm going to go to the post request, and in the JSON tab, I'm going to, let's say, milk. Click send, and then go back to the get list of groceries endpoint. Boom. Now we have added a milk as a grocery list. Now I'm going to show you something really, really cool here. So going back to add grocery endpoint, and instead of this hard-coded string, I'm going to right-click and then click prompt. Now double-click the prompt. It will allow you to define what is the name of this prompt. So I'm going to name it as grocery item, and then done. Whenever you click send button, it will prompt a model with an input. Let's say I'm going to put eggs, submit, and when you go back to the get list of groceries, now eggs is added. Now I'm going to show another cool thing. Let's say we're going to select faker that Marco just demonstrated. We're going to select random product name, and it will automatically generate random value. So click send and go back to get the list of groceries. Boom, there's another randomly generated product name appended to the grocery list. So now we're doing two steps here. Let's say we want to combine these two steps into one step. That's where you can use pre-request script feature, which, by the way, as Marco mentioned, 9.3 beta release also includes after response script as well. Right now, I'm using production version of Insomnia, so it doesn't include, but you can download the beta version of it, and you can start using it as well. So now I'm going to duplicate this request and name it as create and get the latest list of groceries. And then navigate to pre-request script. Here, you can write your JavaScript logic to be executed before sending the request. So I'm going to just copy paste. already written JavaScript code. Here, basically, I am just generating random number with the product and sending the request before sending the actual request. I'm going to click send. Boom. So here I have created a new grocery item with this per request script. So I don't have to do 2 clicks. And now let's say your UI developer wants to extend the UI with a list of receipts and the endpoint does not exist. With Insomnia, you can also provide a mock endpoint. So we're going to navigate back to dashboard and create mock server and choose cloud mock option. And let's name it as get list of receipts. And now here you can click new mock route and let's say receipts route. And here you can define the API contract that you agreed on with the UI developers. And now when you click test, it will automatically provision an endpoint with the mock data. So now if I click this copy button and then press Command P and navigate back to Insomnia demo file and go to collection and then create a new HTTP request with this route and click send. Voila, you have this mock response from the mock server that you just created. Now I'm going to show you another little cool trick here. For this one, I'm going to create another HTTP request, and then I'm going to put, let's say, Rick and Morty API.com API character. This endpoint will return a really long response. Let's say click send. Now you see lots of items in the array, and at the bottom there's a JSON path feature that will allow you to search through the pattern. Let's say first results array, and you want to get the first item, and then let's say name. Boom, it's so productive. I'm going to remove this, and then you can also copy this one as a curl script and copy paste in the terminal. You can instantly run the curl script as well, but you can see side by side how much more productive it is to use Insomnia in comparison to using curl. Now, this is not the end of it. Now we can go to the test tab and then create a new test suite. And then let's say name it as simple test, and then create a new test. This will basically just send the request and assert the status of the request. So now I'm going to select get list of groceries endpoint, and then click set, click run, boom. Now this is just UI. You can write the JavaScript logic, custom JavaScript logic to write unit tests, but you can also run this in CI/CD pipeline. And so for both, you can select the environment. Imagine that running this in the CI/CD pipeline, you can detect any kind of model changes from different team on different service in PR status. So you can discover disastrous changes early on. Now, all these changes that you just made, you can simply share with your team member by clicking this cloud button and click commit button. And this is our newly improved diff viewer that allows you to see all kinds of entities of that file and see the old version of it and the new version of it. And you can select which entity you want to commit. I'm just going to click all and then write commit message, initial commit, and commit and push. Now, after you commit and push, instantly this is available in the cloud, so you can share this with your teammate. So I'm going to click invite. And then I'm going to put, let's say, Marco, your email address, 88 Marco @gmail.com. And then I'll put my passphrase. Now, this will be instantly available in Marco's UI, and I can see where he's looking at.
I am accepting the invite, and I'm logging in. And now that I'm logging in, I can see your your file. So what I'm going to be doing now is entering. Are you in the Kong demo? Yeah, I see you there.
Yeah.
So I'm syncing it, and now I am in.
Okay, awesome. Look at this.
So in the project, yeah.
That's really cool. And now all these bells and whistles, you're being convinced that maybe Insomnia will really boost your productivity of your team, but you have prior investment in other tools that may require migration. Don't worry about it. We also support import files. So let's say, for example, in a competitor product, let's say there's this request collection that has some scripts written. Basically, it does the same thing. It is calling the get grocery list after sending a request to add an item. So when I click send, it does the exact same thing. But now you can export this into a file, and then you can import this into Insomnia. And then scan it. Now, it only has one request, as you saw, and click import. And now when you go inside the request collection, you have this request with the pre-request script generated with compatibility on Insomnia. And now when you send the request, boom, you get the exact same result. So now there's a feature of compatibility. This was a demo, and I'm going to pass it back to Marco.
Well, thank you, Mark. This was a lot of information, and there truly is a lot more that Insomnia can do. So we're going to keep doing these user calls so that we can keep showing you some, all the innovation that we're building inside of the product. Okay, so today we looked at Insomnia, all the things that it can do: design, debug, testing, and mocking. As well as we looked at a demo of some of the new capabilities of Insomnia 9 that Mark just demonstrated. And we also looked at some of the roadmap highlights of the things that we're going to be building on Insomnia. We're very excited about everything that's about to ship inside of the product. If there are any questions, this is the time to ask them. We are going to be recording this session and making it available publicly in such a way that you can watch it later or share it with your friends. And if you would like us to support something inside of the product, feel free to open a GitHub issue or a discussion, or get in touch with Kong at the official Slack channel for Insomnia. It was great to see you here, and I'll see you the next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Mark. Fantastic presentation. Amazing demo, Mark. Thank you so much. Any last questions here? I'll give it 2 more minutes. I think we have
so
one
I'll
more
answer. Yeah, I'll answer the question on third-party API gateway. Insomnia works on open API specs that you may use in any gateway. So as long as you're using open API, then Insomnia will support it. And if you decide to use Kong, of course, we do provide capabilities for injecting some of the Kong plugin configuration as an open API spec, inline open API spec definition, but it's not solution is a tough problem. Kong Insomnia solves this by allowing you to follow a Git model for committing, pushing, pulling files, and if there are conflicts, Insomnia will then ask to resolve them. I don't know if you can hear me. I froze for a second.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. Sorry. Yeah, so I was about to say we follow a Git process for conflict resolution. So you can push your changes, you can pull, and if there are conflicts, we will ask to resolve those conflicts in such a way that everything can be reconciled. In the future, we're going to be also enabling the ability to choose that the last change always wins. In such a way that if simultaneously multiple people are making the same change, only the last change will be the ones that will be persisted today. And that's going to be an optional thing that you can enable. But today we ask the user to implement conflict resolution when they're polling, like with Git. It's not any different than that. Insomnia is an application that has all these capabilities for developer productivity, designing, testing, debugging, mocking APIs. There is really a lot that Insomnia can do. Insomnia itself, it is part of the developer productivity angle of Kong. Kong as an organization offers a lot more. Insomnia is part of a broader platform that includes API management, includes service mesh, includes an AI gateway. So if you're building AI, you need to deploy AI infrastructure, and there are other webinars on Kong that you can see where we discuss about AI. We provide the developer portal, analytics, we provide service catalog and service registry. So Insomnia per se, it can be used standalone. But if we're comparing Insomnia with, let's say, MuleSoft, then we truly have to compare Insomnia versus the entire Kong platform, which includes Insomnia, but it's not limited to Insomnia. There's also all these other things. For service mesh, Kong provides, Kong is the maker of Kuma, which is a CNCF service mesh project, and we provide an enterprise offering called Kong Mesh. Service mesh, it is about connecting microservices together. Microservices are APIs. And so with Insomnia, we can build microservices in a much better way and then publish them inside of our, let's say, Kubernetes cluster to make them part of the service mesh. Let's see, what else do we have here? There's more questions, I believe. Insomnia today allows to test AI by using SSE. So you can essentially test AI calls by using our server-side event capability. You can, for example, consume OpenAI or even anything else that supports streaming, and you can start seeing those AI requests coming back. So we already provide that. We were thinking to also introduce the ability to have an AI playground. That's something that we are debating. It would be very nice to have it in Insomnia, like everything. It's a matter of resourcing and priorities, but it could be something that we may introduce. If the question is about to incorporate AI itself inside of Insomnia, yes, we would like to do that. We would like to incorporate AI to simplify testing. We would like to incorporate AI to find duplicates of APIs in a large portfolio of APIs, especially in a large enterprise organization. So we do plan to introduce that. In the past, we did introduce AI for simplifying testing in Insomnia. We have learned a lot. And so we're now updating Insomnia's AI capabilities to leverage the new AI gateway that Kong has built to provide even more AI capabilities. This is a work in progress. It's not public yet, but we plan to do a lot when it comes to that. Insomnia itself doesn't allow, it allows you to create open API specs. It doesn't allow to create APIs in a programming language like Python, Java, but it provides the opportunity to have the spec that can be implemented in any language that supports Open API. So Insomnia works on the interface of the API, which is the spec, not necessarily on the implementation. The implementation can be anything. Insomnia is different from Postman because it provides, so first and foremost, it's an open source core. Postman is not. It provides a plugin ecosystem that Postman doesn't provide. Provides the ability to store data locally or in the cloud or on Git, but also entirely locally, which is something that Postman doesn't provide. So even though Insomnia requires an account, a user account, so that we can manage all of these optionalities, the data can be local if that's what you prefer to do, and Postman does not allow you to do that. And this is being actually quite critical for our customers that are quite sensitive on where the information is being stored. With Insomnia, we can also mandate local storage across every employee of the organization, for example, using storage control. So these are some of the capabilities that Insomnia provides that Postman doesn't provide. And then, of course, Insomnia integrates with the broader Kong platform. So this is not just about testing APIs and creating APIs, it's also about running APIs. And so as part of that platform, it's really a whole world of API infra and developer tooling around the APIs that only Kong provides in the world. We made it very easy, by the way, to migrate off of Postman, and even the scripting that you have created in Postman is backwards compatible with Insomnia. So we're trying to really make it as easy as possible for you to migrate off of competing solutions. And something else I would like to say, you see, Insomnia is very important to Kong's strategy, but Insomnia, it's not Kong's core business. So we are providing a very compelling price point for Insomnia, both if you're an individual developer or if you are an organization, in a way that other competitors of ours cannot, because for them, this is their core business, but for Kong, it is not. So we can be more compelling from a pricing standpoint than others, which at the end of the day, it's part of your equation. So let's see. Is Insomnia an open source product? So yes, Insomnia has an open source core. You can access Insomnia on GitHub. Some capabilities that we provide are not open source. And so based on what you use about Insomnia, you know, some of these things may not be open source, but the majority of the project is open source. So you have control on it's not a black box. You can see what Insomnia does. And Kong is a prolific contributor to open source. As you know, Kong Gateway itself is open source. Our AI Gateway itself has an open source component. The service mesh also is open source and donated to the CNCF. Kong is a very strong contributor of world-class projects in the open source community. That's part of our DNA. We do, so for the Salesforce integration, I suggest contacting the sales team because they're going to be giving you a better direction on what exactly is that you need. We do have some Salesforce plugins that integrate with Salesforce. So my suggestion is contact sales, and then you can have a conversation with them to determine if we cover your use case. Let's see. Another question, can I create a Kong account for free and develop and test some APIs? Yes, you can go on insomnia.rest and you can create an Insomnia account. You can go on konghq.com and create a Connect account. Connect is the actual infrastructure platform that allows you to provision gateways and service meshes and portals and analytics for APIs, the whole infra in the cloud or on-premise. So it's up to you to choose. And so depending if you are if you're a consumer of APIs or producer, but you want to manage the specs only, you can use Insomnia. If you also want to run your APIs on full lifecycle API management, then with Connect, you get access to the infrastructure platform. So check it out, insomnia.rest. You can go on Kong's website, konghq.com, and then you can see everything that Kong offers. We work with thousands of as a matter of fact, in Insomnia, we work with millions of developers. And Kong itself provides very high quality software for API infrastructure. So to look at Insomnia without fully considering the broader platform, it would be a mess in my opinion, just because Kong can do a lot, of which Insomnia is part of it. We do have training classes for Insomnia. My suggestion is, if you're planning to roll out Insomnia to, let's say, hundreds or thousands of developers in an organization, contact sales, because the sales team is going to be able to give you all the explanation of all the workshops and classes and courses that we do. For the community instead, we will keep doing these user calls that educate the user base on some of the things that you can do on top of Insomnia. This is it. If there are more questions, feel free to ask them on GitHub or our Slack. There is a Slack channel that's free to join. And we'll see you the next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. We hope to see you next time. Have a good
Thank you,
evening
everyone.
and